Also in the news tonight, evidence of a plot to assassinate Oliver North. Government sources tell NBC News the plot to kill the former national security aide came to light as FBI agents today arrested 8 men linked to pro-Libyan activities in the United States. More on this story tonight from NBC's James Polk, who's in Washington.
The FBI says the man in the blue suit in front of this group being led from court in handcuffs is a Libyan intelligence operative. He is Musa Hawamda, one of 8 men arrested today in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. The charges? Misusing funds to finance pro-Libyan demonstrations in this country. But the FBI suspects him of much more than that. In a court hearing today, a federal prosecutor said Hawamda was involved in a potential plot to assassinate a high government official of the United States. The prosecutor would not name that official or give any more details. But sources tell NBC News the target was former Marine Colonel Oliver North, the key figure in the Iran-Contra scandal. The sources said the plot dates back at least 2 years. No attempt was ever made on North's life. Hawamda ran this travel agency in downtown Washington. He is a Jordanian-born American citizen, but the FBI says he is closely linked to the head of the Libyan Foreign Intelligence Service. Prosecutors say a second man in the case drew up a potential hit list. The names of American officials involved with the bombing of Libya in 1986 and sent that list back to the Libyan government. North was a White House official involved with the bombing. Officials do not have enough evidence to charge the men with the assassination plot, but they say their investigation is continuing. James Polk, NBC News, Washington.
In California tonight, thousands of acres of woodland are burning out of control. The area has been sweltering in record heat, dry heat. However, as NBC's David Burrington reports now, officials say not all of the fires are wildfires.
Drought and hot weather have left Northern California tinder dry, so officials were prepared for extreme fire danger. They were not prepared for an arsonist, who investigators say set 2 fires yesterday, both out of control today, in the Sierra foothills east of Sacramento. The arsonist is now blamed for 13 fires in the area, and there's fear he'll set more.
That is a problem, especially when we have so many resources tied up on this fire.
Do you have the resources to go to another fire?
We will find them.
16,000 acres have already burned, at least 4 houses destroyed, several small towns threatened. Many homes were temporarily evacuated.
When I saw the flames clearing the ridge, I knew it was time to leave.
Commanders hope to have the fires contained in a few days, but they see this as only the beginning of what could be a very tough California fire season. The same holds for 28 other states where fire danger is considered high or extreme. This includes parts of the East and Midwest and all of the western states, plus Alaska. In Alaska, the fire season is already long underway, with 50 fires burning almost 250,000 acres. One huge blaze has been out of control for 3 months. Tonight, fires are also burning in Wyoming, in Yellowstone Park, in northwestern Colorado, and central Idaho, in what Forest Service officers are already saying could be the worst fire season in 70 years. David Burrington, NBC News in the Sierra foothills.
There was more rain today in the Midwestern Farm Belt, where Agriculture Secretary Ling and other officials are on an 11-state inspection tour to assess the damage done by the drought so far. As NBC's Roger O'Neill reports tonight, they're finding that for many farmers, these latest rains have come too late.
In each of the 8 states the President's Drought Task Force has been to, it's either been raining or it just stopped raining.
Let's walk out there and get a little mud on our feet.
Take a look at it.
But the rain came too late to help Donald Hedgeman's corn crop in Missouri.
Well, it should be way over our head in a normal year.
Corn farmers told the Agriculture Secretary the same story everywhere, that the department's estimate of a 29% corn loss is far too low.
The problems we've had with these half-inch rains in a day or two, they evaporate and you've lost it all.
Wheat farmers also said their losses are larger than the 15% drop federal officials have estimated. In fact, the moisture has done little to stop the spread of the drought. A month ago, drought conditions existed in parts of 33 states. Today, an updated Agriculture Department map shows drought conditions exist in parts of 48 states. But the National Weather Service, in a new 5-day forecast, predicted the recent rains should continue over much of the country, with heavy rain in some of the areas hardest hit by the drought. The nation's breadbasket certainly looks better, but it's a deceiving look. Most of these plants have no ears. Those that do will produce very little corn at harvest time.
Pretty sick-looking corn, isn't it?
Soybean farmers say with more rain, there could be a near-normal harvest. Farmers in Iowa are worried federal help will not come soon enough to pay off loans which are coming due. But Secretary Ling said government red tape will delay drought checks until October at the earliest. The task force also heard Mississippi River officials predict they will be able to keep the river open to barge traffic, even though water levels could drop to just 4 feet. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
We'll be back with more news from Atlanta in a moment. Two days after Iran said it would accept a UN appeal for a ceasefire, there were strong new signs today that Iran and Iraq now are serious about ending their Persian Gulf War after all these years and deaths. However, as NBC's Richard Valeriani reports tonight, the two sides are not yet ready to lay down their arms.
At the United Nations, Secretary General Perez de Cuellar announced he was sending representatives to Iran and Iraq to work out the details of a ceasefire, which he hopes to get within 10 days.
I have asked the two governments to receive and to extend the full cooperation to the technical team.
Today, the Ayatollah Khomeini, who once said Iran would fight to the last drop of blood, put his personal stamp of approval on a ceasefire, saying that although it was like swallowing poison, it was in the best interests of the country. Meanwhile, the war continued. Iraqi forces gloated over the shooting down of an Iranian F-14 jet. In Baghdad, President Saddam Hussein decorated Iraqi soldiers today. The reaction there to Iran's acceptance of the ceasefire was to challenge Iran to hold immediate face-to-face peace negotiations at the UN to show its sincerity. Iran's UN ambassador quickly rejected such talks. Iraqi troops have scored a number of significant battlefield victories in recent weeks, and analysts believe this is why Iran has agreed to stop fighting.
I think finally, they are realizing that Iran simply does not have the means to challenge and defy everybody and survive.
But Iraq remains suspicious that the Iranian acceptance of a ceasefire might only be a ploy to rest and rebuild its frontline forces. The United States said it would fully support the new UN mission to Iran and Iraq, and it urged both countries to move quickly to end the 8-year-old war. Richard Valeriani, NBC News, at the United Nations.
In Florida today, the man convicted of running the cocaine cartel in Colombia, Carlos Lader, was sentenced to serve a life term in prison without parole plus 135 years. He also was fined $350,000. Lader was found guilty of smuggling into this country more than 3 tons of cocaine.